What is going on, all of you beautiful, beautiful people? Welcome back to another episode of Tunnel Vision. My name is Adam. We got a very, very special guest on today's podcast. I'm very excited about it. The man himself, Kyle Purdom, otherwise known as KP19. Come on down, buddy. Yeah.
Thank you.
What's going on, dude?
Nothing much, man. How about you?
Nada, man. It's been a while since we'd seen each other.
It's long,
been
man.
Quite a bit, yeah. But we kind of know each other just like growing up through the schooling.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
just in passing. So let's just like start it out. Let's just like line it up. Who are you? What do you do? Just like the basics of your life. Just tell the people, man.
All right. So as you all know, as Adam said, I'm Kyle or KP19. Basically, I went to Linganore High School and I went to Windsor Knolls Middle and Twin Ridge Elementary. I don't know why I did it backwards, but I did. So I went to those schools and I did like... Growing up, I didn't really know like what I wanted to do. I wanted to either be like a meteorologist at one point, I wanted to be an astronomer at one point, and I was just like, I really like this. But then in the middle school is when I really started to figure out what I wanted to do. When I was in middle school, my friend and I, we worked on these short films, like growing up. We made like, how do I put this? We made like, like the little iPads with like the effects onto it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started making little short films like that. And that just kind of boosted like me as a person, just going like, oh shoot, the short films sound really, really fun. And like a really fun hobby to do. So I started doing it, and then eventually I kind of made it more of my career. And like making films is so fun to do, and it's very challenging because you got to get the shot perfect, you got to get the editing right, and it's like I'm such a nitpicker when it comes to that stuff.
I feel you.
So like the littlest things, it's just like, it's like, why can't this be right?
No, I definitely feel you there for sure. And I remember you. It was just like way back in the day, like starting out, like doing all those short films and stuff. And I specifically remember you doing like electronic music. And that was like a big thing for you for a while, and like also just like making like edits of like Marvel films and stuff like that. So like, how did you get into that side of that? So
with Marvel edits, like that's just more of like a hobby, I guess. I do that more for just like my fun. But what got me into that was I was just scrolling through Instagram, and I saw this Marvel edit, which was really, really cool. And I like how what my favorite edits are the ones where like the punches or like the shield slams or something are timed with the music.
Right, yeah.
So I was just like, you know what, I'm going to try this. And so I tried it, and I didn't realize like how good I was at it, because I go back and look at like my edits from like a while ago. I made them like 2 years ago. Yeah. I go back, I'm like, this is actually really good. Like what? And I used it on probably like the most annoying software in the world. Adobe, I think it's Adobe.
Is it Premiere?
I'm using Premiere now, but
okay,
I think it was like Effects or something like that. It was something weird, and I hated everything about that software, because like when you try to match up the timing of it, like
terrible.
It would only be a second.
Yeah.
So it's like when you need that half a second, it just jumps to second or a second. And I'm like, ugh, it's so annoying against my nitpicking self, but yeah, it's just like, it makes me so mad.
You ever try to do that shit on iMovie? Like anything like that?
Yes.
It's terrible, bro. So
it's so bad.
First time I recorded the podcast, I have this lovely mic here, and I was trying to figure out, because this is my first time, I was trying to figure out how to like sync up the audio from the mic to the audio from the video. So I was sitting in iMovie for hours, dude. You have no idea. So long trying to like sync it up, and I would get it so that it would sync up perfectly for like 5 minutes, and then somehow it just like got off sync, and then I'd be like talking about completely different things in like different places. So I just finally got Premiere, and it was just like, oh, sync audio, and it was done in like 2 minutes. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like I spent hours trying to do this shit. It was terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Premiere is definitely so much better, man. When I first got it, I was like, what is all these features? And I'm just like, there's so many things to use. And it's like, once you figure it out, you realize, oh my gosh, this is so much easier than any other software I've ever used. Right. But yeah, I love using Premiere for any sort of video work that I do. So
it's definitely good, and people like complain about it online all the
I
time. But
know.
I'm just like, are you kidding? Like, this
they're
is
like,
so much
oh,
better.
it's so laggy, or oh, it's so glitchy. I'm like, yeah, because it's a huge software.
Exactly.
When you import all that video into it.
Well, I guess especially for the people that are like hardcore editors and they're like getting in there chopping it up, and I'm just like, hey man, I put some like music on my shit and then I'm rolling. Like, don't know what you mean, but cool. Oh yeah, so you started like doing those edits, and that was definitely like really enjoyable, especially for someone that was like a fan of that series. Like, especially seeing them just like on your Instagram all the time, I was like, this shit's kind of hype. And and as I talked about a little bit ago, you started doing like electronic music. So when did you get into that?
Ooh, that's a great question.
It's been a while.
It's been a long time, man. Whew. I'm trying to remember when I got into it. I'd have to say probably middle schoolish, kind of into high schoolish is when I really started to get into it.
Yeah.
Like electronic music. But that was kind of like a phase for me.
Right.
Like me now, like I'd say I'm more of like I kind of like more lo-fi and like listening to like rap and stuff, but like back in the like day, I was like Maroon 5, and I
remember the Maroon 5
I was like
shit,
Maroon 5. I was like dubstep. I was all over the place when I was younger. And
I remember you were so hype on Maroon 5 all the time.
It's funny because it's like that's who I grew up with, you know?
Right.
Like it's like a band like. You love the like bands that you grow up with. It's like some people like will listen to AC/DC consistently because they grew up with them. Like my dad is like huge AC/DC fan, and he would just grow up with him like all the time. And with me, with Maroon 5, that was kind of that same mentality. So I'm like, every time a Maroon 5 song came out, I'm like, oh, this is so cool.
Right.
Yeah.
And not just that they're not good, because they do put out some bangers. I'm not gonna lie.
Their new stuff is.
It's a little bit of a miss. It's a little bit of a miss.
But their older stuff hits
like back
hard,
in the day, and that shit comes on at the middle school dance, and you're just up there like getting the hype about it. Yeah, dude. I feel you.
Like, bro, like, what was it called? This Love. Like that song came on. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a jam, and then Makes Me Wonder and all that stuff. I was just Maroon 5. Yeah.
What a time.
What a time.
All those old bands from like the 2000, like probably like 2008 to like 2012 era are just so funny. Like looking back right now, it's just like, do you remember LMFAO?
Oh my gosh, bro! I still listen to them. Is the funny thing.
I saw some of that shit the other day. I'm like, I feel like we really took this seriously, and I don't know how we did that. Because it's so funny looking back on it. It's just like this dude's got a thong on in the music video, and he's just like humping the air everywhere.
And then he's got like an afro and crazy colors on.
It's like respect. He's owning that for sure.
I love it, bro. I was listening to I was just scrolling through my old music the other day, and I found Party Rock Anthem, and I'm like, wow, this brings me back to like 2011, 2012, and I'm just like, whew.
God.
The old stuff.
Yeah. So it was a time. It was definitely a time. It was. Oh shit! You remember? What's it called? Gangnam Style.
Yes.
Gangnam Style, bro. That was hype. That was like a whole thing.
That was, bro. That was amazing. Like the dance with it. Like.
Yeah, dude. What a time. What a time to be alive. What a time. So good. We were in like middle school when that.
Really was.
Yeah. Shit, man.
Nostalgia.
We're getting old, dude.
We are. It's just amazing that like. You can like it's crazy that you look back and you think that it happened yesterday when it really happened like 10 years ago.
Right.
And it's like, wow. Am I growing up already?
Yeah, right. It's like, I'm not even in my 20s yet, and I feel like, man, I'm gonna start getting some gray hairs soon.
I know. I'm like, I don't want gray hair yet.
I'm whittling away, man. I don't want to lose this. I'm already balding. That's why I'm wearing the hat today. I just can't look at myself in the mirror anymore. Shit.
Oh no.
Dude.
Oh man, God. the old times.
Yeah.
Because it's like I look at my dad, and it's like, and like me and my dad joke around all the time, but it's like he has gray hair and stuff now, and it's like my dad's like, you're gonna be like this someday. I'm like, not even close. And then it's like I realize I'm like, oh man, this could happen to me in like.
Right. I'm gonna get that regain, bro. It ain't taking me. I'm fixing that hairline up. It's gonna be fine.
Keep it good.
Just keep it clean. Oh shit. So that kind of music kind of like would you say like almost inspired you to get into like making some of your own stuff? Or?
So it wasn't really electronic music. The funny thing, what got me inspired is a couple things. There's a lot of things that really got me into music. First, I would have to say is my buddy, because he was like, hey man, you want to just make some music for fun, like as a joke. And like my first debut album, The Pains of My Life, was kind of like that. It was just like, let's just screw around and see what happens. Even though we recorded on a tiny iPhone. And I was just like, let's just see what happens. And then like, I was like, I'm kind of iffy. I mean, I didn't really like it as much because of the quality, obviously, and the mixing. And I was just like, I mean, it's okay. And then, I got my own mic. And I started working on another project, and I was just like, let's just see how this goes. Now that I have a mic, let's see how this goes.
So much.
And I mean, Interstellar, everyone sort of loved, and then the album, I started getting a lot of like comments about it, saying like, dude, it's actually not bad. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? I'm actually really starting to like this now.
Right.
And so I've kind of just been like, doing it because it really helps me too. I kind of find it as a very therapeutic.
Right, like kind of like a coping.
Like a coping mechanism, yeah. Because a lot of people like say like don't put your feelings into music, but that's exactly what I do.
You got to, man. Yeah.
That's like exactly what I do, and it's like with my new project coming out, Sun and Waves, I really do that a lot.
Right. Yeah.
And it's a lot of vibes at the same time, but it's like I kind of feelings, like good feelings into it, bad feelings, like flip it around, stuff like that.
And there was one song specifically, Remember, and that's the very end of the album.
Yeah,
I believe. Right,
last track.
Yeah. So that one, and then the one before it, was that In the Night?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So those two especially, like you can definitely tell you were like putting some of your shit out there, which I really enjoyed, and and like as you've kind of gone through your musical journey, we'll call it, I've like hit you up a couple times. I'm like, hey man, like your shit like keeps getting better, and like as you are going, it's like really cool to see like how much you progress like from each one of your projects, because from where you started to where you are now is like very exponential. It's really cool to see that just from like an outsider looking in, and we haven't really talked a ton about it up until this point, so I'm really excited to just like pick your brain about this kind of stuff.
Also, another one that kind of really like throw everything out of there, dude, is Sad Summer. Like that song, I just completely just like throw all I got into that song. Like it's just
and that one I really enjoyed too. That was really good.
I was just like, I don't know what I was thinking that time, but I was like I was listening like to the beat, and I was just like, you know what, this is so vibey, but I'm gonna make it so dark at the same time, so people can like vibe out to it, but then like realize, oh, this is a dark song from Kyle. Right. What are you writing, man? Real. Yeah, but it's just like I'm just really excited for this project. Really excited for it.
You should be, dude. It's very, very good. I enjoyed it quite a lot. And hold on, give me a second.
Go ahead.
This is a very professional podcast. So just
hey.
I swear, fully professional. This is all unedited. Man. We put all of our mistakes into the podcast.
Love that.
For those of you listening, I forgot to turn the light on to start the podcast. So we've been sitting in somewhat of the dark, but the light like helps the tiniest bit, because it's just like some old like desk lamp. It's very professional what we're doing here.
We got this.
Very professional. Yeah, so I guess let's just dive right into your new album then, right. Since we've kind of already started talking about that. Sure. So give me like a basic, is there a basic like theme of the album, like specifically that you're trying to hit?
So there is a theme, but there's also like songs kind of like scattered like differently, but the theme is kind of like wavy, beachy, kind of like that chill vibe.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of go for in this album. And like the first, I'd say 14 songs are more like vibe bangers. Like they're more like headbangers, but it's like, you can kind of vibe at the same time. But then as you go down, it kind of gets more just, chill. Yeah. And like in my feels. And it's
right.
It's, I kind of like that about my albums though, is I kind of put more of my deeper songs near the end of the album compared to, at the beginning, because it's like, I want people to actually like listen to the whole album.
Right,
you know?
trying to pull them in.
Pull them in, and if I get the good songs, like the headbangers at the beginning, and people start to like it, then I can go down and they can kind of get into what I'm feeling, you know?
Right, and the first song on the album, "Summertime Magic," if I'm correct, yes.
You're right.
So, just like kind of what you were talking about, just like the vibe and stuff like that, just like immediately off the bat, you kind of like hit that because you have like the do 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 like coming off, and it's just like very mellow vibes. And then you get to the end, and you're just like, man, this girl, dude, like, why is she like fucking with my feelings and shit? And it's like, how did we get here, bro? Like, you keep going down the album, and it's like, oh, it's getting like a little bit more depressing. You're at the end, you're like, shit.
this is it.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that like with the end of the album, people can, because most people like songs that they can relate to more.
Right.
So I'm hoping like when they get to like the end, because that's where I want people to relate the most with.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that when it gets to the end, people are like, oh my God, bro, I can relate to this.
Right,
you know?
right. No, I definitely feel you there. And just like with that said, so for all of your lyrics, is that just kind of like based off of your own life experiences, that kind of the stuff that inspires your music, or you're like trying to pull from different places? Like, are there like artists out there in the space right now that you know might be like very popular or maybe like less known, that you're like, hey, I really vibe with this kind of stuff, and I'm like trying to maybe like pull some of their feel and their tone into some of your music?
Yeah, so it's kind of a mixture of both. Like sometimes I just do my personal like how I'm feeling,
right.
But I also kind of leech off some artists because they really kind of motivate me to kind of put this sort of music out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of artists I could think of, but my main like motivators, I guess you could say, Four is a big one.
Okay.
I really love like just his music and like how he kind of connects with how he's like feeling and what he's been through and all the traumatic experiences.
Yeah.
And it's just, the thing is like he puts stuff out there and I look at it and I'm like, I can relate to this, so that's why I love it so much. But Four is definitely a big motivator for me. I'd have to say like when it comes to like the chill vibes, it's Fora. But when it comes to like straight like rapping,
yeah,
I'd have to say like I've been really into Coda the Friend and Toby Lou.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you know who they are. But
those are some underrated bands.
yeah, I'm more into the underrated talents because I feel like the mainstream is just like repeating the same things over.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Not all mainstream artists are like that, but I'm saying like most of them just like, you know, it's an album, they put it out there, it's kind of the same as the last album. But like with underrated artists, what I love about them is they're consistently putting out different stuff and they're consistently trying new things. Yeah. Like experimenting. And that's what I like. That's what I try to do with my albums too, is I try to like experiment. I do different styles. Right. Try to do something different. And when it comes to like rapping, I really love Coda the Friend. Like I love his vibes. I love like what he kind of puts out there. And like how he like, you know, connects on a lo-fi level. Like, cause I love lo-fi beats. Like I've been listening to that to like put me to sleep recently. Yeah. But I just love
vibing.
Exactly. And I just love how like Coda the Friend, like he just raps and talks about stuff, and it's just like it's not like it even puts you in your feels. It's just like you sit there and you just like you're vibing. Like
you're kind of just like sinking back in your
sitting
chair,
back
just
and
kind of like letting it absorb around you. Yeah.
Exactly. And like the thing with like Toby Lou, and this is why I love him a lot too, is he does different voice pitches. Like with his music, it's so unique because it's like he goes with like normal voice, then it goes deep, and it's like really deep, and it's like, oh my God, how does he do that? And it goes like really high, and it goes like he just kind of experiments. And with this album that I have made, I kind of take like, I use that as reference because
big inspiration there.
Big inspiration because my voice does the same thing.
It's like different on every song.
Yeah. And I kind of do that, and I like doing that because I like being experimental and trying it out with different beats.
Right. And one of the biggest contrasts to me was from Summertime Magic, right, where it's like kind of like high pitched, got some like auto tune kind of stuff on it, and then you go to like Roadrunner, and it's just like really low down there, Roadrunner, just like getting way deep into it. And that's something that I also really enjoyed. You took a lot of like liberties in like changing your voice up through the album, and I think that kept it interesting to where like if you listen to something more mainstream, let's use The Kid Leroy, for example, right? Someone very popular in recent months, year-ish. when you listen to one of his songs, I feel like it's very much the same versus if you are looking at some of those other guys that you mentioned, and with your album here, I think it's more interesting, like you said, if you kind of take liberties with it and you experiment around a little bit, see what works, what doesn't, and then like either way, just like trying to put it on different beats and seeing what is cool.
I feel like with like artists too, like if you know that you're doing really good with your like voice, like you should keep it the same. But if you want to like experiment, I guess do that too. I just feel like it all depends on what you want to do.
For sure. And as someone who is like classically trained, if we put those in big air quotes, right?
Big drummer.
Right. Yeah, bro, for sure. So I'm really into music, and when I listen to stuff, I get very like in depth with it and like look at all the details and stuff like that. And when I listen to stuff that's like very just like similar, hitting the same thing every time, it gets really boring. So especially for someone like me who looks for that kind of like variance in music from different artists, I can really appreciate what you're trying to do with that. I think it's very, very cool. And some of my favorite songs on the album are like ones that you've done some like very different things with. Like I texted you the other day after I took the first listen for Nights Like These, and that is just like so left field. Like when I turned it on, I was like, hold on, this is Kyle.
This is me.
Hold on a minute. Let's just like take a couple of steps back. And it's very, very different from what you've done before, especially going from astronomy to now. Very, very different. And something else you did on this new album, you like started to do some fast rap. And I like that shit was really good. Like like listening to your other stuff, and you're kind of more into when you're going into the lyrics, you're kind of expanding the words out within the cadences and stuff like that. And I thought like if he does fast rap, like what would that sound like? Because I wasn't sure if it was gonna be good because you haven't done that before. And then like you started to hit on a verse, and the first time I heard it, I was like, oh shit, like he actually knows how to do this. It's like actually pretty good. And like in some cases I was like, I think some of this shit's like actually better than like some of the slower stuff, and I was like shocked because like that shit's hard.
Thanks, man. Thank you. I can't take all the credit for it though. Me and my buddy, we were sitting down for Nights Like These, and he's actually the extremist who's featured on it, and we were just sitting there and we were just like, shoot, how do we want to do this? Do we want to go more like dark and hard? And he's just like, yeah, dude, let's do that. And we just started like sitting down and writing together, and we were just like, all right, we're gonna go like this. And it was just like, and like I put a little snippet on Snapchat a little while ago, and people were like commenting on it. They're like, dude, that actually goes really hard, man. I'm like, thanks, bro.
for sure. And it's not even on that song. There's like a couple other songs where you just like kind of sprinkle it in, and I don't know specifically because I've listened to the album like 3 times now. I think I'm not completely familiar.
You liking it, man?
Oh, it's good. It's good. I really enjoy it.
It's awesome.
But yeah, very cool. One quick question while we're talking about like pulling inspiration. Why is Senal trying to be DaBaby?
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, man. That's just how Cito rolls. He really likes DaBaby. He tells me all that all the time, bro. Like every time I FaceTime this man, because we play like 2K all the time or something. I FaceTime this man. He's like, bro, listen to this new DaBaby song. We just like vibing. He's just like chilling to DaBaby. And when we made Interstellar, it was funny because I went over to his house and I was having troubles with the auto-tune, so it was being weird. And he knew what he was doing. Like he was like just going hard. He knew what he was doing. And I was just like, how do you do this? He's like, no, you just gotta do this. I'm like, all right. And then next thing you know, this man is just like talking about DaBaby and stuff, and like he loves it, and that's just who he is.
Well, Interstellar, like since you bring that up, that's actually I think like my favorite song of yours because the tone of your voice in that, and like with some of the auto-tune in that, and like some of the mixing you did with your voice, I think sounds really, really good. Yeah, like some of that higher stuff where it was the same thing in Summertime Magic. I keep going back to that song.
Yeah, that's fine. It's a good song, man. I like that one.
So it was kind of the similar to your voice on that song, and I really, really enjoy you getting up into like a higher register of your voice and doing that. But with Model, I was dying because when Cedal comes in, it is exactly like just it took my brain to enemies, like the Post Malone to me, it's just like immediately I'm like, this is his verse on the song. It's the same thing.
Yeah, I love Cito, man. He just like it's funny because he's like a big DaBaby fan. He takes inspiration even in Interstellar too. He took inspiration into that, and he just like was like, I'm gonna kind of do it like this. And then we were talking actually when I was making Model, and I was like writing the lyrics. I was recorded. I was done. I was like, all right, bro, whenever you're ready, just hop on. And he's just like, all right, bro. And then he sent it to me. It was fire. Don't get me wrong. Right. I loved Sino on that verse. He was bodying it. But then I was like, he's got DaBaby. Let's go. And he was like, and it was just like, yeah. I love when features hop on, man. It's just it brings out a different like setting, like a different tone.
Right. Well, it's a lot different production process.
Yeah.
Can you like talk a little bit about that, like what you do differently from like going at a solo project versus going at like a collaborative project, like just from the starting out writing the lyrics, or like do you produce the beats for your songs?
No, actually I buy all the beats.
Okay,
so
cool. That's a good thing to know. So picking the beats then, right? So from like picking the beats to writing the lyrics and figuring out the cadences and all that stuff, is there like key differences between going from a solo project to something that you're collabing on? Yes.
So I would have to say, so my first two projects were more collaborative, because me and my buddy, we were on Pain's My Life and Astronomy. We kind of collabed into that album.
Yeah.
Like, so some songs I did myself, and some songs me and him did together. Like Interstellar was all me. And then, like, for example, like Cigar Galaxy or Black Hole or Astronomy, that was a collaborative songs.
Okay.
Because he would help me write some of them. Because I write most of my songs, but some of them I'm just like, bro, I'm so stuck. Help me write this thing. And then he hops on and helps me with writing sometimes. Because, sometimes you have creative block. A lot of people I know have creative block. And it's like sometimes he just hops on. But with Sun and Waves, with the production and just my style, I could feel like I could sit back and actually, write myself, because it depends on the beat too. Like for me, it's the instrumental that kind of drives my lyrics. And it's hard to explain. Like it sounds complicated, but it's like, for example, like if it's like a harder beat, like Interstellar, like I kind of know like what I'm going for, like the tone and how to write it and what to talk about. But like on like wavier beats, it's like, you want to be chill kind of vibe, and
for sure,
you know, and it's kind of like, it kind of depends on like, it's really hard to
you gotta match the tone of the beat.
That's what I'm trying to do. And it's like when I try to like when I look for beats, for me, I kind of now know from this project specifically like where I want to go. Like, it's like I kind of know what production I'm looking for now, because I feel like with these first two projects, I didn't know what production I was looking for.
Trying to
figure myself out with voice, like my voice and stuff. And it's like some of the songs I look back and I'm like, why did I put my voice on this beat?
Right.
And it's like,
but it's growing pains though.
It's growing pains. Yeah. It's like, and then it's like, now it's like, I think I found the production of what I want now. Yeah. Like I found all the beats that I need, and it's like I listened to this album so many times, and it's like I can't stress this enough that it's like my voice belongs on here.
Oh, for sure.
Like I just think in my head, and I'm like, my voice definitely belongs on here. There's nothing that sounds weird, nothing that sounds off on this album. My voice belongs on all these beats.
Right, and that's definitely something that I took off of, especially my first listen. I'm just like, all of this stuff sounds appropriate for you, because there was some stuff like you were saying in your like previous projects. I'm just like, okay, like he makes this work, but I don't know if I would necessarily pick this beat for his voice, right? But when you're going through the list, and there's a bunch of different styles like you're talking about, but you've made it work with what tone you're putting on your voice and like what register you're putting your voice in, and like the different cadences you pick for everything. I think it all matches a lot better, and I really feel like this is going to kick off for you and kind of propel you into future endeavors for all that kind of stuff. So that's super cool. Now specifically and I know that a lot of people, they're like, well, it's different on every project, but when you like sit down and you're gonna start writing something, and maybe start with saying like when you're doing like an individual song and then like a project, what are like the specific steps you take? Are you like doing lyrics first and then like picking the cadence, or are you like trying to figure out the cadence that works best on it and then like trying to put lyrics in? Good
question. That's a really great question, actually. So what I tend to do is I do the beats first. Like I listen to like either solo project or like a single. I would just sit and listen to the beat first, and I'd be like, what am I feeling right now? And then I just like sit and kind of like for like my album Sun and Waves, what I did was I listened to all the beats, figured out ones that I really liked. I bought those beats and I just listened and I put them all on a project, and I'm like, okay, what do I title these? And so I'd listen to the beat and I'd be like, oh, for example, like the wavy one, Summertime Magic, I titled that, then I titled that, then I titled that. And I title the songs before I write them.
Really?
And I'm like, yeah, because it's like, I'm weird. So it's like, when I listen, yeah, exactly. So I'm like, I would title the beats first, and then I just sit and I'm like, okay, what vibe do I want to go for? Because I have the title in mind, and I'm like, okay. And I just go down, and then what I tend to do is I do three things. I go back on memories that I've had, like good or bad memories that I've had. Right. 2, I go back on like how I'm feeling right now. Or 3, I'm literally at work or something, and I just think of a bar in my head, and I'm like, shoot, and I just write it down. Yeah. Because like, I just continue to write. Like what I do is I write and I consistently write, and then I freestyle over top of it, so I can like match it up. So I'll be talking, and like for example, Summertime Magic, the beat will play. I'll be like da 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 da, and then I'm just like, okay, does this fit what I'm going for? And I'm like, yeah, this fits on the beat. Everything flows, etc., etc. And if it doesn't, I just crop, mix, fix, etc. Yeah. And then once I have all the lyrics written out for every one of the songs, I go back in and I record all of them. Okay. So I just like getting the lyrics done first. I feel like that's the hardest part. For sure. Like just trying to feel like, what am I going for? What's this? How do I do this? Etc. And then it's like once I get the lyrics, I'm like, all right, now we just got to record and mix. And now we're getting into mixing. This is where it pisses me off beyond belief. So I'll record. The weird thing about my mic and the weird thing about my mouth is, how it does like that thing where it's like,
it like kind of clicks when you like open your
mouth. Like it does
up.
like it does that click. And so my mouth tends to do that all the time. Right. So when I'm recording and I listen back, I hear that thing and I'm like, dude, I got to re-record now because that's pissing me off. Right. And it's like it's not like as noticeable, like, but I notice it because I'm such a nitpicker that I'm like, sure. I want to get this perfect. Yeah. Like, I'm do
a million takes of it.
Exactly. Okay. It's like Kendrick Lamar when he posted something, like when he was working on his album, he's like, I'm sorry it's taking me so long, but even like the littlest mouth opener, littlest bar that sounds wrong, I redo it. And it's like, that's exactly what I'm feeling. It's like, I kind of want to make it perfect in a way.
Right. And then, it might take longer, but the outcome is going to be a lot better.
Exactly. Yes. And, then once we get into mixing ain't that bad. So what I do is, because I'm a broke college boy, I use Audacity to mix my my stuff, and I use a clip-on auto-tune thing. And so when I auto-tune, it's my voice, like I didn't like. Okay, so starting off, I didn't realize like how talented my voice is. Like when I first started off, I'm like, I really don't like my voice. I really don't like how this is going. I really don't like how it mixes into everything. But it was just until this project where when I sit back and I listen to all the album and I realized, I'm like, when I add auto-tune onto my voice, it actually doesn't sound too bad.
Right. And I think that's part of like picking the beats and figuring out like what your sound is to a point.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm just like, I'm sitting here and I'm like, wow, this is interesting. And so I was just like, then I just kept mixing it, and then when I was like mixing the songs, and then what I do is when I was done mixing and I got it all complete, I would send it to my buddy who kind of like listens and tells me what he thinks about it, because it's like, I kind of want an extra opinion before I complete it, because I'm just that kind of guy that's like, I want it to be perfect and I want people to see like if it's good or not. Yeah. So I sent it to him and he's like, dude, this is actually like might be some of your best music. And,
for sure. Yeah.
Like I sent it to my buddy, listened to the whole album, and you're the only one who listened to the full album still, and just like
exclusive up in
exclusive here. Yes. And I sent like a few other songs to some people, but and everyone's saying, they're like, dude, this actually like might be the project, and I'm just like, really? Like I'm
agree.
Hyped.
I'm hyped very much. Yeah.
And like when people like say like good stuff about it, it just gets me super hyped to put it out there. I'm just like, I gotta promote it out of this, I gotta do this and this, and I'm just like, I'm so excited, like very excited.
Yeah, so, for sure, man.
And that's pretty much how it goes. It's like, with writing, I tend to just like, if there's a bar in my head, like, because sometimes I'll have creative block, and when I'm like at work or something or doing something, I'll just think of a bar, and I'm like, I'll just think of something stupid, and I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta put that on there, and then I just put that on like last minute.
Right.
And then if not, I'm usually just like sitting in my basement, pacing back and forth, thinking of stuff, and then writing.
Feel that, dude.
That's what I do. I pace all the time. I just like pace back and forth. I'm like, does this match? Does this go into here? Does this sound right? Did the lyrics sound corny? Does this happen? And it's like, I tend to overthink when I do my lyrics too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, does this sound right? Does this fit? Does this, mold? Does it sound like a good bar? Is people going to be like, I don't get this, you know? Right. So it's like,
I think that's definitely the hardest part, especially like fitting it into some of the cadences, like trying to figure out like all the syllables and trying to make that work, and then like trying to find like different rhyme schemes throughout it. I definitely think that's probably the hardest part of making any kind of music.
Rhyme schemes are just a pain.
It's a pain in the ass.
It is.
And you go look at I don't know if you've ever seen rhyme scheme breakdowns of some of like Eminem's stuff.
Yeah.
But it is ridiculous. Like they take highlighters to the lyrics, and they basically just like highlight something in like one color, right? So they'll highlight one part of a word in like purple, and then like 2 lines down it'll be another like half of a word, and they'll highlight it the same color because those 2 things rhyme. And basically the entire thing is just like this rainbow of like rhyme schemes going through the lyrics. It's just like, how does this motherfucker like think of this stuff? Like, are you kidding? Just like everything matches and shit. There's like I'm lost.
Yeah.
Very lost on it, like how anybody does this. So I respect you for doing it, like.
Yeah, it's just, oh my gosh, man. So it's so like hard at the same time, but I also have something that kind of helps. So when I'm stuck on a rhyme scheme, or when I'm like, I don't know what word to put here, there's a source that I use that's very useful actually if you're really trying to find rhyme schemes as well. And I told my buddies about this because they've been struggling with it, and then they're like, oh yeah, this is actually really helpful. It's called Rhyme Zone. And it's like it's a software thing, and you can put like a word into it. Like for example, you put like the, right? Mm-hmm. And it comes up with like words that rhyme with it. Okay. But then, so that's kind of helps me with my writing too, because then I'll think of so I'll have like a sentence with like a word at the end, and then I'll think of a word that rhymes with it, and then I'll form a sentence off of that. Okay. And I'll form it off of that, and then that's just like kind of like helps when I'm in a creative block. Right. Usually, I do all my writing myself. Like I don't use any like sources, but like when it comes to like creative block and things I'm stuck on, I just find a word, add a sentence, and then call it. Like if it's like one sentence or something, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, this is pissing me off. This is pissing me off. And so I'll just do that, and I'll be like, oh, there we go. And then it fills in.
So you're telling me you don't just sit there like looking at a Webster's dictionary for 3 hours a day?
I mean, sometimes I'll do that, but it's usually just like,
fraud. Blasphemy. I retract every compliment.
No, but I don't use a dictionary. I just kind of use my head and what like I'm thinking of, and that words that just like flow into it. Like sometimes I'll be like, oh my god, this bar is like really cool, and I'll just put it in. But then like when it's a creative block and I've just like completely given up on the song, and I'm just like, dude, I don't know what else to put here. Yeah. I just use Rhyme Zone, get that word, put it on, call it a day.
And you're good.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna back it up a tiny bit. So is there ever has there been a moment where maybe you haven't picked out a beat and you haven't like thought of anything, and you've just like hit some kind of like lyrical genius, and you're like, oh, I got something, and you like write that down, and then what does that process look like? I'm very interested to know, like, you have a set of lyrics, and you're like, I gotta match this to something, and then you're like trying to process like trying to filter through all the beats and like trying to find something that works. Like, is that harder than like finding the beat and then doing that, would you say?
It is a little bit harder because when you do the beat first and then the lyrics, you can perfectly match the lyrics with the beat. Like it's really hard to like, because I'm such a nitpicker, it's really hard to explain, but it's like you match the flow of the beat when you do that. Right. When I have done that, because I have written lyrics before and then tried to like put a beat over top of it, it's so hard because it's like all the things that you write onto it, like the beat could be different, so it messes up with the flow. Yeah. And it's like if you have a run-on sentence like, oh, the pain, blah, 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 and then it's like the beat cuts off, and it's like, oh, I'm not finished yet. Right. You know? Right. So it's like...
so in that case, do you try to like change the flow, or do you try to like shorten the lyrics if you have something like that specific example?
Of course. So it's kind of both for me. Like sometimes it just depends.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll change the flow, sometimes I'll just shorten the lyrics. It really like depends on what I'm feeling at that moment. Yeah.
No, that definitely makes sense. And I also want to just like back up to like you talking about you picked the song titles before you go into and I think that's really interesting because all of the just like musicians that I've heard in like interviews and stuff, they always talk about, oh, I'm writing the lyrics down and then I just like pick a word from the song, and I'm like, that's the song. And I find it really interesting that you've gone through and you've picked all of the titles before you go in, and I think that definitely like provides some kind of benefit rather than like, oh, I'm gonna do this and now I guess I gotta find a title for the thing. It's just like, well, you have the title in it, and I guess also it can like make the album flow a little bit better and make sure that you're like matching everything and it like feels appropriate rather than like, oh, you just have like some random song and you like don't really have a title that like coincides with the album. So you either have a thing where you're like, oh, this doesn't really match the album, or like it's a kind of thing where you're going and it's just like, what is this? You know, it's just like, why is this in here? Or even a thing where you just like make a title of it and it doesn't like match the lyrics at all, and it's just like, I feel misled by this.
So let me backtrack just a tad bit. When it comes to like finding like the titles, I guess sometimes I will do that. I will write out a song and then put the title. Like I'll be like, oh, this is the title from the lyrics. Like I've done that. I went. Let me backtrack again. So with the Sun and Waves album, I haven't done that for all the songs. Like they're like when I first started off, like I put all the titles in, and I was just like, let's go with this. But obviously, when I record and I listen back to it, sometimes they don't sound good. Right. So what I do is I find a replacement, and I keep that as like archive, and I buy a new beat, and I just start over. Okay. And when I do that, is when I just write lyrics, and I'm like, okay, what is this title? Like, okay, for example, World War III, right? That's one of the songs on my album. What I did was I didn't like the song that was before that. I forget the title. It's on my archive. No. It's not on the album now, but cool. It was like a song that I was going to put on the album. Right. And I listened to it, and I'm just like, I don't really like this as much anymore. So I got a replacement, and I was like, I really like the beat, and I'm just like, oh, I'm just gonna write exactly what I'm feeling. And I just with World War III, I like because it's so short and it's just straight. It's in and out. It's in and out. Yeah. It's that's what I like about it, and it's just like kind of explaining like what's going on in the situation, and that's it. Okay. Like, you know, it's just kind of how I'm feeling. It was how I'm feeling in that moment, and it's just done. And it's like I kind of like that, and I was just like, oh. I was writing the hook for it, and I'm like, oh, okay, we're just going to call it World War III, call it a day. And cool. So, but like for most of the album, like some songs, yeah, I've done that. But most of the album, I'm just like, I was like, what am I feeling for this? Because it was funny because when I was first putting this album together, I had a single, it was called Sun and Waves. And I'm kind of going to explain the meaning of what it came out with. Okay, perfect. I was going to ask you. I knew you were going to ask me. Okay, cool. But I was kind of going to save it, but Blue Skies kind of explains what the meaning of the album is to me. Right. So definitely recommend listening to that song. But I
recommend listening to the entire thing.
Yeah, there we go. Listen to the whole album, bro. Promotion.
Top down. Give it a listen.
So Sun and Waves to me, like I was making this single, and I was like, I don't really like the flow of it or how my voice fits into it, so I decided to just make it the album, right? I was like, I really like the name of this, so I'm just gonna make it the album. So with the cover itself for Sun and Waves, it's obviously animated. I want to thank my friend Stefan for making that cover. I can't thank him enough.
Shout out.
Stefan, shout out. But he did a fantastic job, and the meaning behind it that I was thinking in my head at the time is it's like the sun is everything that you want. You know, the sun is like, you know, you want like love, you want money, you want wealth, you want all this stuff, right? But there's always going to be problems in your life, and that's what the waves come in. The waves crash. They you know, they're always going to get in the way, but you got to push through to get what you want. Like that's for example, like for example, my music career, it's like people keep on like obviously there are people that bash on it, and I'm honestly fine with that. Right. But it's like, you know, there's going to be people that are hating on it. There's going to be people that are going to do this, and they're going to keep bashing you, but you got to keep pushing through. Yeah. You know, and the thing in the waves, like that's why I love the album cover so much, is there's always good and bad. Right. Like the shipwreck is the negatives of it, and then the mermaid is the positives of it. You know, like pushing through the waves. And there's always going to be goods and bads when you push through.
Right.
But your end goal is to hit the sun and to hit to what you want.
Right.
And that's kind of like what I took from the meaning of this, and that's what I wrote in Blue Skies, is it's like, this is what the album means to me. Like, and there's obviously, because in the album, there's sad tracks.
For
like
sure.
Sad
right.
Summer and all that, and it's like, that's where the bad stuff hits with the waves.
Right.
And then Summertime Magic and all that is the good stuff coming from the waves, you know? It's kind of like a mixed bag, but in the end goal, you're just trying to get to the sun. Whatever... anything it may be, like it'd be money, love, cars, Xbox, I don't know, whatever you want in your life, you're just trying to get to that sun, you know what I mean?
Always trying to get that Xbox.
And there's always going to be obstacles you have to dodge, so that's
sure.
that's the meaning that it is.
Right.
So
just trying to get that Xbox, but Amazon sold
but
out.
Amazon's just throwing a
bro.
wave at you, man. It's like, boom.
Dude, no, I'm really glad you explained that though, because like looking at the album cover, I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like there's a sun, there's waves. I like. It's cool. It's animated. You know. Cool. But then you explain it like that, and it's like, oh, it's got like a deeper meaning to it. And now, like looking back on it, it's like, oh, that makes a lot of sense.
And then it's like now when you look at the
shit.
cover, it's like, oh my gosh, this actually makes a lot of sense now, you know? And I was kind of trying to give it that hidden meaning, and trying to get people to like figure it out. But then I was just like, you know what? I kind of just want to explain it because it's nice.
Yeah.
But that was kind of like the hidden meaning. Is it's like, you know, you're trying to get to the sun, you're trying to get to what you want, but then the waves are always going to be kind of bashing on you. It just depends on how you're going to handle it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I was looking at the cover today, and I saw the crashed ship and like the mermaids for the first time today, and I was like trying to figure out like, why is that happening? So that makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah.
Good, glad we can clarify that. And then so you like kind of mentioned you have like some people hating on your shit sometimes. So can you just like, how do you deal with that, and like how do you get through that and just like, you know, just push it to the side kind of thing?
So it's actually pretty easy. I just don't care.
Well, that's a good way to do it. But I mean, to a point, it's gotta like hit you a little bit. You know, like it's always in the back of your mind at the very least. Right?
So yeah, when I was first making music, I was really skeptical on that. That was what first like came out at me. It's like, dang, this is gonna be. I'm already know I'm gonna get hated on this. Like it's something different. Like, because it's like. When I was doing like SoundCloud, I was gonna be a quote SoundCloud rapper. Yeah. I was like, dude, I'm already gonna get a lot of hate for this, just for being a SoundCloud rapper, just for the stigma. And I'm just like, you know, I'm already gonna get bashed on it, so why not? Let's just do it. And then like I put out Pains in My Life, and that's like when it kind of hit me. I'm like, dude, music is just, I don't know if it's for me. I mean, there is a good song on there that actually has 1K views at the moment, Drugs. It is a good song. It's like, it's different, you know. That album's very different.
Well, you were learning through that.
And I was learning, and I was just like, it's my first album, you know. I was just
gotta have a couple shitters.
Yeah, but I was just like kind of skeptical, and I was just like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this. And then after that, I made a single, A Head Full of Fears Has No Space for Dreams. And funny story about that. I kind of explained it when I was on Bonfield's show a while ago. Right. Is I used the computer like mic for it, and it sounded a teensy bit better, but then I made Overseas and all that stuff, and I was just like, no, delete. It's just not really it. And then I got a mic, and then with Astronomy is when it started to hit me, where I was like, okay, it's okay, but I definitely saw some hidden talents in there. Like I saw Interstellar, and I was like, okay, I see good stuff coming from it. Yeah. I'm like, this is awesome. And so that's when I was like, all right, you know what? We're going to do this. And that's when I buckled down on Sun and Waves. And I'm like, dude, this has got to be my best project. Third is like, this has got to be it, you know?
Blows it out
this is the project that's, you know, got to branch out. This is the one where everyone's going to be like, oh, this is where Kyle's really putting everything into it, you know? Yeah. And so I really buckled down on this project, and I'm just like, all right, these lyrics have to be amazing. These beats have to be amazing. My flows have to be amazing. The auto-tune has to be perfect. There can't be any screw-ups here. Yeah. And so I got my own mic, actually kind of exactly like that, just red, with a pop filter, and I'm just like, you know what? We're going to do this now. Yeah. And
just kind of investing into yourself, too.
Exactly. And the one person who I really tried to impress with my music is because I really just want to make her proud is my mom. So when I make my music, I show them to my mom, and I'm like, it's corny, I know, but it's like, I'm just like, you know, I want my mom to be like happy with what I'm doing. Right. You know, I want her to see that I'm like pushing and doing what I'm doing. And so I showed her like I showed her Sun and Waves the other day. I'm like, hey, let's sit down. I just want to show you this because recently she's been telling me she doesn't like my singing voice, right? She was the one who was that was the reason why.
Miss.
I know. Oh
my god.
So I've kind of been like, sticking to monotone.
Yeah.
And then when I put out my most recent 2 singles, Phases and HAFN, people were like, I love it, but you're so monotone. Maybe kind of express out a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, so I'll experiment a little bit. And I showed my mom Summertime Magic, which is the first track. And she's like, when did you learn how to sing?
Right.
When did you learn? I'm like, Mom, it's just literally like simple things that I tweaked. And she's like, well, I really like your project now.
Yeah.
And she was like listening to it because she thought astronomy was okay. She thought there were some good ones and there were some bad ones.
Definitely.
But that's what it was. And when I showed her Sun and Waves, I don't think there's one she hated. Like she was sitting back, she was listening, and it made me so happy. And that's what matters to me. Is it's like, I know it's corny. It's like, I want to impress my mom, but it's like, she's done a lot for me, and I want to give her some stuff back in return to just listen to and be like, oh my god, this is my son.
Right.
It's a corny way that I go about it, but it's like that's just how it is.
Right. I mean, shout out to all the moms, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all the real
moms
ones.
be doing it good. Yeah.
They really do. Well, I'm interested to know, like, especially with your lyrics, because you talk about there was one line about like fucking someone's mom in there, and like you had some ad lib that just made me like, like it hurt me inside.
So it was on Roadrunner. That was just for comedic. That was just for a comedic
it's
aspect.
Just like, oh my god, I died.
My buddy, we were collaborating on that one. He collaborated with me with Nights Like These, Roadrunner, and West Side. We collaborated.
That makes sense because they're very similar.
They're very similar, yeah. I was just like, I don't know what to put for these, so he came over and we were just like writing about it. And one of the lines like we put into there was that mama line, and I was just dying, and I was like laughing. I'm like, you know what, bro? We're just gonna do it for the laughs,
right.
Well,
then what does your mom think about that kind of shit? And like, especially with like the drugs and like women and shit like that.
Okay, so as she's not really a big fan of like cursing and stuff like that, but she knows that it's like what this generation is now, and she knows that she knows it's for comedy, and she knows like with Roadrunner that song is literally just for complete comedy. It's literally just to make people laugh, but it's hard at the same time. Like it's a hard headbanger, but it's like it's really just to make people laugh. Yeah. And so when we were writing this song, we had full effect in our heads that we were just trying to be funny.
Okay, cool.
And so when we made that like bar, we just started dying, and I just put that ad lib over it. I'm just like, this is perfect. This is perfect.
Well, okay, that makes me feel a lot better because there was one song I don't remember what. I'm so sorry.
You're fine.
I'm not educated enough.
No, you're good.
There was a song I think on the last album, and there was some bar about like you having a Glock in like some fancy car, and I'm like, bruh, you work at Weiss. What are you talking about?
Yeah, there's
this
definitely
motherfucker over here.
There's definitely some songs where we've kind of just made it funny, but there's some songs that are actually like true, like in Cigar Galaxy. One bar, like my homie getting like shot up. Really happened.
Oh fuck,
that happened. Yeah. And
well, I know, so I was like,
no, yeah, of course, like, yeah, of course. But that that really happened, and it was a tragic experience for me. So
no shit.
But like, is
he alright?
Well, no. But I was just like, this is like this was when I made that bar on the Cigar Galaxy with my friend. We were just sitting there, and it was like the hardest bar for me to like accept.
Kind of fucked you up.
Yeah, it kind of, because obviously there were some traumatic experiences in my life, and for them to push up was really hard to do.
Okay.
But this was the hardest to do.
Well, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, there were 2 traumatic experiences that was really hard for me to push up, and I did them in astronomy, so it was very hard, but I got it done, so that's all that matters.
Right. Yeah, well. Yeah, it's tough because sometimes like in Roadrunner, for example, you're like kind of like joking around, and then some of the stuff I'm just like, is he serious or is he like capping about this? Like I can't tell.
Sometimes. I get that. Right, right. And sometimes that's what I do. Sometimes I'll just be like capping on all levels.
Well, every rapper that's ever existed does that shit. I mean, there was a 6ix9ine interview. He did an interview on Logan Paul's podcast, and he was talking about like, fuck, I thought rap was real. and like all these people are out here like talking about stories about like going out and like shooting motherfuckers and shit like that. And it's like they are totally lying about it. So it's like you never know.
You never know.
With even like popular like the mainstream rappers out there, it's just like, is some of the shit they're talking about real or is it not? It's like hard to tell.
Exactly.
Because at some point, like, yeah, sure, some of this stuff is true, and then other stuff is like, yeah, I don't. It's hard to pick through it.
Well, that's another thing too, because I saw on I was looking online, right, and I saw that like now you can use rap lyrics in a court case. Like
really?
In Maryland now, yeah, and it's especially in Maryland, and they said that like, oh yeah, we can use lyrics for court cases, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, how do you know if it's true?
Yeah, what if you talking shit?
Yeah, because like some rappers literally just spit bullshit out, and then people are like, oh my god, bro, wait, he's talking about me, and it's like, am I though? Like, you don't know what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
I could be talking about a drum for all I know, for example. I could be talking about a guitar. Like, you don't know what I'm talking about.
Right.
And it's just like...
It's just confusing.
Yeah, and then I saw that Maryland did that, and I'm like, I just started laughing because it's like, that's kind of stupid. Like, like, because rappers, like, cap all the time.
Yeah,
it's like...
It's hard to tell.
It's hard to tell. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good to know. We're learning here.
We're learning every day.
Getting some education here. That's good. Okay. What are some of your favorite songs from the album?
From just the...
Okay. Everyone wants to know. Give me, like, your top 3.
My top 3. That's really tough, actually.
Do it for the people at home.
I'll do it for the people at home. I'll just go on and just list... I'll say by far, first off, that I love all the songs on this album by far. But if I were to pick my favorites... Why you gotta do this to me? I'd have to say my favorite song off the album is the one coming out next week, Myself.
Really?
I really just like the flow and the vibe of it. Yeah. Like, but the music video for it kind of adds more to what it's supposed to be. Right. And it's like, you're chilling with yourself. And it's just like, what I love about it is, yes, it's like talking about, drinking and feeling something else and all that stuff. But it's like, it's also just kind of explaining the hidden meaning, which is, sometimes you gotta take time for yourself and enjoy things by yourself, like maybe like go on a hike or, run or work out or do stuff by yourself. That way it gives you that time to connect and with yourself, because I'm gonna be honest with you, like my past, I haven't really loved myself all that much, and That's
something you gotta learn while you
I was insecure. Yeah. Like I listened to your second podcast and I connected with that a lot. Right. So it's like when doing stuff by yourself and just kind of taking that time, like maybe just like going on a walk with your headphones in, or when I was a kid, I used to play Legos all the time by myself, and it's
just doing shit that numbs your brain a little bit, just like keeps you alone with yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. Just you need to do stuff by yourself to give you that personal connection with yourself before you focus on everything else.
Yeah, and taking that and then kind of going back to what you were talking about earlier with like the people like hating on you and shit. I think like one of the most commendable things about you, just like a little applause to you, is just like, especially recently, you've just been fully yourself and like putting yourself out there, and I know that's like a very difficult thing to do. And like you just mentioned in that second podcast, I talked about like my whole journey, and like it sounds like you've gone through some of that shit too, and it's really tough to get through that. And I think one of the biggest appeals of like the stuff that you're doing now is that you're just fully putting yourself out there for everybody to see, and like they can like it, not like it. They're just like take it as it is.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, I'm just like, I'm putting myself out there. I don't really care if you don't like it or not. So it's like, it's just, I kind of like doing that because it's like, I think we all should. I think everyone should have the right to express how they feel. For sure. And like, I feel like that goes with everybody. Like if you're scared to put this out there, I say do it. Because it could be like. If it's like a video that's like really corny, but you love it, put it out there. Right. Who knows what'll happen? Because it's you. And I think that's you.
When you're putting stuff out into like a social space, whether it's like a video or it's an album or, whatever, a podcast, something that like I feel connects people and makes people like whatever you're putting out more is if you're fully genuinely yourself. Because I feel like people can like kind of filter through the bullshit a little bit to a point. And some people might not like who you are, but if they don't, then like cool, you got them out. So like, now they don't gotta listen to your shit. You don't gotta hear them.
Exactly. Like, it's like if you don't like it, then just go away.
Right. And if you're putting stuff out that you're like not really like fully invested into and you don't really believe in, then you do have people that like you don't necessarily like agree with to an extent. You're just kind of there like, well, this kind of sucks.
Yeah, I had a lot of that on my first album. It's like people were like, oh dude, you should stop doing this is butt. I'm like, oh, you should stop. And that's when I was at my lowest point, because I was like, dude, should I really stop? Like, should I really stop? And then I'm just like, you know what? Why am I letting this get to me? I should really just be myself and do what I want. So that's when I got the mic. That's when I got the software. And I'm like, I'm going to try this and see what it does.
Right.
And Astronomy's a mixed bag, like in terms of like the songs and everything. But I got that one song that everybody loved, which is what I wanted from my last album, or from when I talked on Bonfil's thing. I was like, there's going to be one song on here that everybody loves. And it was Interstellar. And that's when I was like, okay, that's where I'm going to kick off. It's like, Interstellar was that song where I was like, okay.
Just take it.
I got it. Yeah, I'm taking that into consideration. I put into the next one. It's like, all right, I gotta go with that, like that same feel, and then it'll be good. And I did, and I kind of experimented a little bit more. And I have a feeling that this is why this album here is, I think everyone's gonna love.
Right. And I'm not here to like bullshit you.
No,
I'll be honest with you. Some of that early shit you did was
bad.
bad.
I know.
You know, it was fully bad. But I think like with the people that are here now and sticking with you, like from the beginning where they saw some of that shittier stuff you put out, and they've gotten to now where like now you're putting out some quality stuff, and I feel like a lot of people are gonna enjoy it. Those are the people that you want to stick by you, because they've listened to all that shit and they're like, you know, maybe this isn't like the best you can do, but I really want to keep pushing you so you can get to a place where you want to be. You know, and that's the kind of people you got to surround yourself with to a point. You know, you get all those people to fuck off.
Just cut them out, man.
Here,
get out of here, bro.
Get out of here, bro.
But to my 3 favorite songs, I know you wanted that.
Yes.
I'd have to say Myself, Nights Like These, and Sad Summer are my 3 favorites. I love the whole album as a whole.
Okay.
But I just personally love those 3 songs so much, just because Nights Like These, I feel like it's gonna be the Interstellar of this album.
Yeah.
And then I just love Myself. I just love the feels of it. And then Sad Summer, because Sad Summer, the reason why I love it so much is because it was the hardest song for me to put out there.
Yeah.
You know, it was so hard because the lyrics for these took me 2 months for Sad Summer.
Well, when did you start this project?
So it was right after Astronomy.
Okay.
I started. So I started in like July-ish, somewhere in there.
Okay.
And I pretty much finished the album. I'm still tweaking on one song, but I finished the album pretty much in January.
Okay.
And so, but then I took that time. The reason why I made it so late is because I wanted to take that time and make sure they were perfect.
For sure.
So I kept like listening over and over and over. And with my software, there was like little bugs in some places where it made my voice sound a little glitchy. So I go back and fix that. And it's nitpicking, bro. And it's so, that's the thing that I hate about myself. But people are going to appreciate it. Yeah. But that's the thing that I hate is it's like I consistently nitpick. So it's like I hear a song that I make and I go back and I'm like, shoot, I got to fix this.
Right.
But then it's like I listen to my past stuff and I'm just like, dude, why did I make this? Like I could sell there's so many things off. And then it's like back in the day I was hyping it up so much. And it's like I'm listening to it and I'm like, dang, this is actually really
that's
bad.
good though. It's good that you hyped it up though, because even if it is like not that good, just like the fact that you're so like excited and happy about it and you like want as many people to look at it, you're like, hey man, this is like cool, even though, you know, might not be the best stuff ever. It's like just because you're excited about it, that's gonna get people to like go to it anyway. You know, and as you have grown through it, like some of that stuff that you were like, oh, this is good, now you're like, maybe not, right? But that's just part of the process of growing, and especially music is such a hard thing to do. You know, it's so tough. It's very vulnerable, and like writing music and stuff, it's shit sometimes.
It really is. Yeah, it really is.
And I just like wanted, because I've like tried to like relate to you, and I just like haven't mentioned. I like write like drum stuff. Yeah. Right. So I like write stuff for like marching band specifically. So in that way, I feel to like a point, right? Like just like the writing woes, you know, definitely not like writing your lyrics and shit down, but like I kind of feel you on like a mental block standpoint and shit like that. Like we were talking about earlier, just so you're aware. So yeah. Okay. So I want to go through my album ranking. So
go ahead.
When this comes out, is going to be the Tuesday before the album drops. So it's coming out on Friday the 19th for all of you out there listening. So make sure you go listen. Woo. And what I would love for everybody to do is to listen to the album and then drop like a ranking either like through my DMs, his DMs, on the YouTube video, wherever.
Please do.
I'd love to see what your rankings are. But I'm going to give you my ranking of every song that I've listened to so far. Because you didn't give me the one because you're still working on that.
Yeah.
But live reaction to what I think, top down.
Go
and
ahead.
I want to preface this by saying I didn't dislike any of them. I actually genuinely enjoyed every one of these songs, which is great.
That's awesome,
It's
man.
great improvement. I
Thanks,
love
man.
it.
I'm
I
glad.
really love it. Okay, here we go.
Uh-huh.
Number 1, Nights Like These.
Oh, I do
Pretty
that.
honest. Pretty honest. Yeah. Hyping that shit up. Number 2, Lighter. I love that song. It's so close to one for me.
Really?
Yeah, it's just when it first came on, I was out doing some shit. I got in my car and I turned it on at like the little like sparking at the beginning. And I was like, oh, I'm getting hyped for this. And it was like, so really,
The instrumental for it is just
so good.
so wavy.
Dude,
it's
it
so
is,
nice.
though. It is. Okay, next, Roadrunner. Solid. HAFN. I love that song. I think that is one of your best singles you've put out. In my opinion.
Yeah.
Which we have some different opinions. So that's good
No,
to
I
know.
love that,
That's
man.
good to know.
HAFN's a good one. I love that song.
Number 5, West Side. Really good. Very wavy. I like that one a lot. It's a big vibe. And was your buddy on that song?
Yes,
He
he,
was, okay.
did a little bit of vocal things
Yeah,
on it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, next, Sunsets. That one's really good. That one caught my attention early. That was definitely up there when I was giving my first listen. Number 7, Blue Skies. You touched on that one earlier. Big vibe.
Big
Very
vibe.
good. I like that one a lot. Under that, at number 8, Sad Summer. Very, very good. Definitely
Sad Summer,
heart
bro.
throbbing.
Just,
Hits you right, just right there.
right there, man.
Number 9, Lost in Time. I did not expect to like that one.
I did not expect. Yeah, that one I thought was gonna be one of the weaker ones, but I
I
saw it high on your list. I'm
Loved
like,
it, bro. I love that song.
I'm
I don't know
glad,
why. Like I listened to it the first time and I was like, I don't really know. And I listened to it a couple more times because this one's probably the one I listened to the most. And as I kept listening to it, I'm just like, yeah, this one like definitely hits. And I was like, I put it here, and then I was like, it could go higher. I'm not sure.
Dude, that's the thing, man. That's the thing. It's like that's what I want people to do. Is I want people to listen to it multiple times because there are songs that might grow on you.
Right. And some of the choruses specifically, and like some of the songs, I was like, I don't know. Like Model. The first time I listened to Model, I hated the chorus. I listened to it a couple more times, and I'm like, it actually kind of hit. Like for some reason, I was just like, man, I do not vibe with this like at all.
Yeah.
And especially because I was like hyping the shit out of it because Interstellar was a banger and Seattle was on it, so I was like expecting big shit.
Everybody.
And I got onto it and I was like, I don't know, man. I listened to it a couple more times. I'm like, yeah, actually, this is like pretty good.
The songs grow on you, man. Songs grow on you.
For sure. 11, Phases. So a little bit farther down on my list, actually.
That's fine.
And that one, I feel like that is one that's like very similar to some of the singles you've put out, and I feel like you definitely vibe with those. Those are like the more lo-fi style ones.
I love the lo-fi style so much. So.
Yeah, and that was another one. It took like a couple listens, and I was like, oh, I fully understand.
And the thing most that I love more about that song, not just because of the song, but I love the video behind it as well.
Yeah,
like
sure.
Everyone loves the video behind it because it has so much meaning to what the song is.
Right.
It's like, you gotta love yourself, and that's
definitely
kind of what the meaning of it is.
Right, and the messaging behind it definitely like boosts up the song itself. Yeah,
exactly.
For sure, man. And next, number 12, Battles. That one was good. I enjoyed that one.
Yeah. Fast rap.
Yes. Very, 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 very. And that was one that I didn't like the chorus as much, but just like the verses were like such bangers. I was like, oh, dude, it's got to be like a little bit high. It can't be like towards the bottom. It's got to be up there.
I knew from the beginning. I was like, after I finished this one, I was like, dude, the rap is so good. I knew the hook was going to be weak. I was like, but that's kind of the point. I kind of don't want the hook to stand out. I want the verses to stand out in this song.
And it definitely does.
And
it does the job there. Yeah. Next, Summertime Magic. I really like, for some reason, it's like it's lower on my list, and I don't know why, because that's one that sticks out in my head a lot. Yeah, like as we can all tell, listening to this podcast, I've referenced it like at least 70 times by now. So it's number so it's in like the back half of the list, but I think that just kind of like proves the point of like, hey, there's some good shit on here.
Yeah.
You know, it's like none of this is bad. You know, it's all like good shit.
That's the point, man. That you're obviously gonna have a better or worse list, but it's like, you know, if you think all the songs are good, all the songs are good. It's just how you make your list. You know.
Exactly.
What I mean?
Exactly. Okay. Next, myself.
Mm-hmm.
Myself. Okay. And then I'm just gonna go right into 15.
Go ahead.
Remember, and then 16 in the night, and those are all pretty similar. And this is one where I really enjoyed the messaging. I thought the flow was a little bit weaker, but I feel like that was because some of the lyrics were a little bit harder to write around for that. And I kind of got that feeling listening to all of those, but definitely enjoyed those. And I definitely related to those probably the most out of anything in the album because I do not smoke pot or get bitches. So those two things are not on my list of relatability. So I felt those.
Yeah, agreed.
Nostalgia. This one, I was like hype as fuck about, dude.
Because you knew exactly what the
Minecraft
instrumental was.
beat, bro.
Oh
Get
my
that
God.
Minecraft beat. I was dying. I like, and it was this kind of thing. I was so hype about it, but I like just couldn't take it seriously because I was dying the whole time. It's like, this is too much. I can't, dude.
And then I knew it. Like I knew, and I know that people once they hit that song, bro, they're gonna be like, no way, no way, no way. And then it goes off, and they're like, oh my God.
It's like he's gonna play some like old like cartoon beat or some shit. And it came on the Minecraft. I was dying, bro. I was sitting there,
and I also
like,
love my
geeking out.
Minecraft like references to it. Like, is it peaceful? Hell no, it's survival. And I just love the references I put into that.
This is a good one. I really enjoyed that one a lot.
I'm glad you did.
Next up, Waterboy. And this one, I can't really remember, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't remember why I put it there, and it just doesn't really stick out in my mind, so I guess that's why that one's there. Okay.
Yeah, Waterboy is kind of like your typical, like, F-boy shit, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, you know, you're just kind of, it's like me just kind of like, you know, oh, I'm just trying to get bitches at this point. That's what that song is basically about. It's like, oh, I'm just trying to be a savage with it, you know?
And like I referenced earlier, I do not get bitches, so therefore
that's probably why.
Did not relate to the song.
No, I'm kind of in like the same boat, you know? I kind of just like, you know, I'm just like, oh, I'm just going to put it to act tough. It's like, I don't get bitches on a daily, but it's like, you know, I just kind of like put that stuff out there to just, you know.
You're trying to manifest.
I'm trying to relate with everybody because there's some people out there that are just like, oh, they get bitches all the time.
It's like a vision board.
But like, and they can relate to it, you know.
Like, I do get bitches. I do get bitches. Oh, dude.
Oh my God.
Wow.
I love that.
Incredible. Okay, and then 19 and 20, Vibes, and then World War III. And then those two, I thought, like you said, World War III was good. It was just very quick. So I didn't get as much time to like sit on it.
Yeah.
And then Vibes, I thought it was all right, but after Summertime, it was like sandwiched between Summertime Magic and Sunsets, and I was like,
you like those two more?
I was like, I like those two.
So with Vibes, when I was trying to go for, like, the rap is fine, but with the hook kind of style, I was trying to go for a different like style with autotune. I was trying to go for like a future kind of style. Yeah. And try and experiment a little bit.
Well, you definitely hit that.
I tried to, yeah. But it's definitely, I agree, it's kind of like, you know, a little bit lower on my list, but it's still, I still love it personally. But
and that is my whole list. I have not heard.
I Will Fight. I'm still tweaking that a little bit. It'll definitely be done before the album, and that's good. It'll be a surprise.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said before, like when I preface it, none of these are bad. I enjoyed all of these. I just enjoyed some of them a lot more than the others. Yeah. But that is okay. And I'm really excited because I've like some of your other albums you've put out, I've like listened to them and I'll like keep coming back to them. Like, let's say like every month I'll like listen through it again. So I'm like, oh, I don't really remember exactly like what this album was. So I'll go back and listen to it. But this one I actually think I'm gonna listen to it like on repeat multiple times.
That's
what
I'm hoping
actually
for.
Like, hey, this shit kind of hits. I'm not gonna lie. So,
and I love how also like it's all flows together in terms of instrumental production. Like it's like it goes hard, and then it gets chill, and it's like kind of all like hits together. Like Another thing that I want to like kind of put out there is HAFN into Lighter. It's like, so the meaning behind those two songs and why they're close together is because HAFN is the perks of that, but Lighter is the flaws of that.
Yep.
I didn't know if you caught up, but you did.
Sure,
okay,
sure,
so I kind of like how it shows both sides of the story, like, and that's what I try to do with my music, is I try to show both sides of the story.
And that's kind of the transition into like some of the more like mellow stuff. And once you hit Lighter, you go on like that little tear of like the nights like these and the Road Runner and shit, like, and West Side, like that. Once you hit that tear, it's like the rest of the way down. I was sitting there like hype as fuck. Like, yeah, man. But yeah, like you said. Just now and like way earlier, like this, it flows down very nicely in like the different production. But with that said, it's the kind of thing where you were like experimenting with a bunch of different beats in there, so it wasn't like you're going through and it's just like the same song over and over.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. I wasn't trying to make it the same production all the way through. I kind of wanted to just like make it different so people can like, people don't know what to expect. Like they listen to the song and they're like, oh, this is completely different than what I expected. Exactly. And it's like, oh, this is what I'm going for. Oh, it's like, you know, it's a mixed bag.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So.
Because you go through and you're at the start of the album, you're like, yeah, fucking some bitches, and you get some nostalgia, and you're like, yeah, fucking some Minecraft pigs, and you're like, you know, it's just like the natural flow through an album, obviously. Yeah.
Minecraft pigs.
Minecraft, but you know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about, man? Yeah. I would really enjoy if you did one of those, you know, like the Minecraft, where the parodies, Minecraft parodies from like back in the day.
Yes.
Yeah. I would really appreciate if you could do like a Minecraft parody, like for a recent Maroon 5 song. I think that would be absolutely hilarious in every way.
I would love to do that. I would definitely take it into consideration.
My request. Or even better, you take a DaBaby song and then do like a Minecraft parody of it, and you get Senil on it, and that would be perfect. So, you know, Senil, if you're watching, I'm waiting for that. So like, let's get it going. He's obviously down. So,
yeah, bro. I'm definitely down.
I'm waiting.
Yeah, my friends are all telling me they were when I was in production of this album, they're like, dude, you should make some so memeable songs. Like you should make like one, because there was this funny time when me and my friends were going on like a little walk, and we were just doing like stupid stuff, you know, like we were just like walking around Mount Airy, just doing stupid stuff as we do. And we stopped by Five Guys, bro. And I kid you not, there was like a girl that was like really hot. I was like, oh wow, she's pretty nice. And exactly like that. And so my friends were like, dude, you should make a meme song called Five Guys Girl. I'm like,
no, you should though.
I'm like, I don't know.
I fully endorse that.
I'm like really tempted to, for the hell of it, just to get some laughs in there.
Do it. Let me hop on.
I'm definitely.
You bet.
I'm trying to get some more features for my next one. So.
Oh Christ! If the Five Guys song is happening, I want on. That is.
I will definitely make a meme song about that 100%.
Very cool, very cool. Well, okay, that's about it for the album that I wanted to talk about. So, all of you out there listening, make sure you go check out the album.
Go check it out March 19th.
Yes, sir. Coming out on Friday. Friday. Be there, be square. Okay. Got through all the serious shit. Mm-hmm. Now it's time for everybody's favorite segment, the tunnel vision topic. Let's do it. Yeah. I didn't tell him what we're doing today, but this is the segment where we pick some random-ass topic. Does not have to relate to anything we talked about on the podcast. I want to make that very clear. This is just for our own entertainment, and it's stupid. So basically, the premise of this, if you have not listened to it already, I'm sure you've listened to the Crunch Almond Joy debate. Mm-hmm. So we pick something that we're very... stuck on in our opinion, and we have tunnel vision about. We cannot see any other argument towards it, right? And then we just gotta argue about which one is better, see if we can get someone like to change their perspective. So today, as a big fan of a lovely game, something very close to my heart, and something I know you enjoy as well, Call of Duty Zombies.
Oh yes.
Yes, sir.
Here we go. Okay.
I want to know, in your opinion, what is the greatest Call of Duty Zombies map ever made, and why? It's a tough one.
You gotta do that to me right now.
I really gotta do that to you right now, bro. New map just came out.
I love the new Call of Duty a lot. I love the style of
So
it.
good.
I love it. It's so fun. Firebase C is just a new twist, and I love it. But my favorite map of all time. Let me think. What do I think? Okay, this is gonna be very hard because I know a lot of people are gonna have differing opinions, but my opinion is Origins.
Okay.
Origins.
That's classic.
Because Call of Duty Black Ops 2 is obviously one of the best zombies out there, and
For sure. Black Ops 1 is shit. Don't at me.
So as I'm saying, Origins, I just love the style of it, and it's like, is it that old aesthetic, like World War aesthetic? Right. There's so much things to do. You can build the staffs, you upgrade them, do the Easter egg. I just love the elemental staffs to begin with.
For sure.
You feel so like badass with them. Like you shoot a snowstorm or you shoot like a tornado or something, and it's so fun. And I just love like the tank, and there's like, it feels like you're in the war. You know what I mean?
It's definitely one of the most ambitious maps they did, and that really kicked off the like Blundell tear that he went through in Black Ops 3, for sure. Mm-hmm. And just like to preface this.
So wait, we gotta take a backtrack real quick. Black Ops 1?
Okay, yeah. Listen, here's the thing. Kino, not that good. Ascension, not that good. Shangri-La, top 3 map. What else is on that game? Exactly. No, seriously, I'm like totally... 5. 5 is a top 5 map.
Really?
Yes, I love 5. That's probably like my number 5 in like the all-time ranking. Mm-hmm. What else is on that game? I'm like completely blanking right now.
You did Ascension, right?
Yes. I don't like Ascension.
5, Shangri-La,
Moon.
That's
Moon is controversial as shit. And,
yeah.
That's a tough one because the Wonder Weapon, the zap guns are so good, but like it's just such a nightmare of a time with like the tunnel is just a mess. But anyway. Origins, great map. I'm not going to deny that. Okay? Really good. Like I said, one of the most ambitious maps they ever made. And as a big Call of Duty Zombies fan, I can appreciate what you're saying. Now I'm going to tell you why you're so unbelievably wrong and why Shadows of Evil is the greatest Call of Duty Zombies map of all time.
That map is so bad, bro. Come on.
And this is don't fucking come at me like that.
I'm coming at you like that, bro. All right, come on. Explain Shadows of Evil.
This is why this is the number 1 Zombies map of all time. Okay? I just want to hit you with one of the biggest things about zombies as it started, right? So picture this, okay? I'm gonna take you back.
Go ahead.
Bit, right? So you're playing. Yeah, exactly. You're playing World at War. You're going through the campaign, right? You finally beat the campaign. You went through this like nightmare trying to get through it, and then all of a sudden, it goes to black. And then you wake up and there's like this plane crash and shit. And then there's just like this one zombie running at you, right? And it comes at you and it's like freaking you the fuck out because it's like in the middle of the night and you shouldn't be playing the game, but you're definitely way too young to be playing it. But like you somehow got your hands on it because you like used your mom or dad's credit card to like buy it in the Xbox store and they had no idea. So it's a mess. You're like 12 years old in this situation, right? And this thing runs at you. You're like freaking the hell out and then it pops up and like zombies, right?
Yeah.
Now, I don't think any map from there until Shadows of Evil had just the immaculate vibes that zombies brings. And when we talk about Shadows of Evil, we're talking atmosphere, bro. The atmosphere of this place. All of like the perk jingles are changed. It's like jazzy as shit. You're in like this old school like city and you're just chilling, and like the round music is just absolutely amazing. All the characters are like very stupid in the best way possible. Like Jeff Goldblum, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Amazing guy. You're going in the Footlight District and it's just everything's like really red, and it's in the Of the Dead series, which is one of the best series of maps in the game, just in general, like the Call of the Deads, right? Yeah. And I just think from a pure atmospheric standpoint, it hits more than any zombies map out there, right? And here's another thing. It's fairly simple. Okay. One thing that people said when they like got into Black Ops 2 was like, this map is too hard. No, you're bad. Okay. Just like you're
I
just
did find
bad
it
at
very
the game.
easy, yeah.
Yeah, you're just bad. Has one of the greatest layouts in any zombies map. It's got the nice 3-lane system, but it's got like little teleporters through there you can go through. The beast mode system, amazing, really cool. Taking it from Mob of the Dead, which is like the number 2 best map of all time. Don't at me.
I love Mob of the Dead.
So it's just got all these like features going for it. It's really simple. And then also speed running. When you do the Easter egg, right? It's got an amazing solo Easter egg. Yeah, I guess you can't like complete the entire thing. But nobody likes doing like the ending stuff where you're like doing the train, you're making the worm blow up because we don't like animal cruelty on this show. You know what I'm talking about? You just get to the part where you make the mean dude turn into a giant worm. That's all you got. And then you're done. And it's very simple, it's straightforward, but it still brings a little bit of a challenge if you want to go and do some of the harder stuff, like building the wonder weapons and shit like that. Therefore, Shadows of Evil, greatest zombies map of all time. My case is closed. Thank you.
I'm going to open that book up real quick and tell you why you're wrong.
Okay.
It's okay. So Shadows of Evil, yes. I dig the aesthetic a lot. Like, I love the look of the map. I love the layout and how you move and all that stuff. And everything, but I just don't like 2 things that completely destroy zombies for me. And that's just the bugs and the like big boss thing. I just don't like how they're changing like zombies and making it like, you know, buggy and like, you know, alien like. It's like I feel like zombies needs to be like its own thing. You know what I mean? Like Origins, for example, like it's just zombies and robots. Like, you know, like they like it's like something that's like of this earth. I'm not a big fan of like the big like, you know, mixing zombies with aliens type stuff.
Right.
And when I was playing it, I was like, when it was just the zombies at first, I was loving the shit out of that map. Yeah. I was like, oh my god, dude, this is amazing. Like, what is the boss like? What is the? And then I saw the bugs, how annoying they are, and I'm just like, yeah, that's just no, it's not for me.
Well, that almost brings up a conversation of like when they kind of like switched course of making it a fully gameplay based experience and changing it into like a story based experience.
That's agreed.
And for me, I really enjoy the story. So like when I was playing it, I was like, hell yeah, I did this. And all Black Ops 3, I was like very invested.
Oh no, Black Ops 3 has some of the best zombies maps. Like,
for sure. And I think the reason that is because it's so story driven to a point, right? Like if you take some of the story out of like Horizon Track, for example, it's shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, it's a fine map, but like I feel like it adds so much to it. So it's almost like, is the complicated story a benefit or a loss for the franchise?
And you love the original 4. Like, you love the tank and all them. So
you got
it's
to.
like,
you got to.
They've been around with me since I was freaking 9.
A young little lad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Man, such a good game.
Yeah, it really is.
It really is, man.
Zombies are amazing.
Well, anyway, I think that about wraps up our show. We've been going for about an hour and a half here.
Ooh, I didn't even realize how long we were going for.
we just kind of went.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate you coming on, dude.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. That was awesome.
A very good time.
That was fun.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like I said earlier, it's been a while since we've seen each other.
So I know. It's good to
so
just
long.
Like, it's good to catch up. Yeah.
For sure. But anyway, like we mentioned earlier, make sure to go check out Kyle's new album, Sun and Waves, comes out this Friday. Go give it a listen. Okay? Yes. Do it. It's your job.
Go do it.
Again,
do it.
Again, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. This has been Tunnel Vision. Peace.
Peace.
Out. Woo.